G'day, Year 12. Welcome to the world that we live in doing remote learning. I thought it was probably prudent for me to get through everything that was still left over, and then next week, week 10, despite this is when it's due, we'll get the opportunity to get through the extended response. So both classes we left off here with what is global financial management and exchange rates. All right. Pushing through, basically, for what I want you to do as an activity and do it into your notes is the exchange rates and reading the effects on page 358. Now, they're two very short explain questions, not hard, but it's basically to show that you have an understanding of what happens when the Australian dollar goes up and what happens when the Australian dollar goes down. All right. Now, I need this and this, the answers to these, in your notes. They are very important, and they're most likely to be multiple choice questions in the exam. All right. After the explanation I gave here the other day, I think it's important that we get through this. Now, moving along. Okay, we're down here. All right. If we've done that. Okay, we're looking to get through interest rates and this here, and then finally hedging derivatives. These are in your assessment task. All right. So it's important that we get through these. Now, in short, not at the moment because of coronavirus. However, as interest rates fluctuate, all right, they can increase or decrease the cost of how a business operates. All right. So if interest rates are going up, they increase your business expenses, all right, which is pretty darn obvious. However, if interest rates are going down, you decrease your business expenses. All right. So if your business has borrowed money, it becomes a cheaper time for it to go. However, despite this, the added issue that Australian businesses have, we generally borrow money from overseas. So despite the fact the Australian interest rate might be going down, the international business rate might be going up, and or the foreign currency might be fluctuating against those prices. So in other words, this bit down the bottom. So despite the fact companies going to Japan and saying, you know what, I'll borrow the money from Japan because for the last 10 years, interest rates in Japan have been zero. So I'm going to get a cheaper interest rate than Australia. You now have the risk of, if the Australian dollar collapses against the yen, all right, all of a sudden the loan that you had that was worth $1 million is now worth 1.2, and you haven't borrowed any more money. It's purely the Australian dollar is now worth less. So for me, particularly from a Qantas perspective, all right, they do borrow money from overseas, and they use overseas markets to borrow money. So they borrow money to get decreased interest rates from overseas, but then they have the issue of currency speculation or currency fluctuation. All right. So it's a smart move for businesses to borrow from overseas, gents, because they generally get you get a better interest rate than in Australia. However, at the moment, Australian business interest rates are at a record low. All right. So we've done going through 1, 2, and now we're on to methods of payment. Again, this is also in your assessment task. And there are resources up there on Qantas for you. Let me just check to see how we're going with the time. We're at 3 minutes. Okay. Oh no, don't jump. Now, basically, here's the important points of why businesses have methods of international payment. So selling goods overseas presents a challenge and risk. It's selling domestically, and therefore the business must select the appropriate method of payment. So in other words, kind of like if you guys are in class, right now I'll be making a joke about who's not the right person to lend money to in class or something of that nature. But if you're selling a good overseas or selling to an overseas market, all right, you've got the domestic purchasing and I guess foreign legal systems to others, but then you've also got an illegal system for those countries overseas. For example, if you're buying a Qantas airline ticket in London, all right, are you abiding by the Australian rules for the ACCC and the Australian the Watchdog and ASIC, or are you following the British system because you bought it in Britain? Now, Australia has a pretty strong legal system when it comes to how businesses function and how business can sell goods. But on the flip side of it, some of the countries that we sell to don't. or some of them have very lax systems in terms of methods of international payment and how money is to be received and exchanged between two entities. So because of that, there's a variety of methods of international payment available to all businesses. And they use these to mitigate risk of ensuring that if you're going to put goods on a boat and ship it halfway around the world, or you're going to be selling your airline tickets somewhere else in the world, you want to make sure that you're going to get paid. All right. And not all businesses can operate in a model of you pay before you go. All right. Some people it is a debit credit system. Some people is you put the goods on a boat and you ship around it, and then when it docks, that's when I pay you. All right. Because what happens if we're lost at sea? So there's a variety of different issues there at heart. Now, in short, this is what it looks like from a visibility perspective. This is a method of international payment. Doesn't matter really what it is, but the Australian exporter, let's say we're going to send them coal, or you wouldn't really be handling that with care, but let's say, I don't know, you could say live exports. We do beef. We do a lot of Wagyu beef to Japan. So the Australian exporter sends over their thing. The Japanese importer gets it. He then gives Japanese yen, to which he's, for in other words, the payment for that, to their bank, or to his bank, Bank of Tokyo Mitsubishi. And then they need to translate that into a agreed foreign currency. So in other words, it might be in USD, that most businesses worldwide on a transaction deal in US. They call it the greenback. Everyone's riding on its back. They then have to give that greenback to the NAB, the bank. So this bank is for this guy, all right? And then they then convert that to Australian dollars. So therefore, we have currency risk at 1, 2, 3 stages. In other words, it might be that the yen's higher today, so we can get the US for a cheaper amount, or it might be that it was less, therefore he got stung, but then the Australian dollar might have dropped against the US overnight or increased, in which case that could be worth more or less. So it's what's called an inverse relationship. If the US dollar has gone up and the Australian dollar has gone down, in other words, you're going to be getting less. But if the you're going to be getting more. Sorry. But if the Australian dollar has gone up against the US, you're going to be essentially getting less. So that's how methods of international payment generally work, and that's the risk that most businesses are trying to mitigate. Okay, let's leave it there, and then I'll come back for the different methods of international payment.